Hi, and welcome to Children's Time. It's one of those days when I really wish we could have a conversation because I have questions and I know all of you have really interesting answers. The question I would be asking you is, if we're supposed to love from the center of who we are, what does that mean? How do we do it? When don't we do it? How can we do it better? But because we can't have that conversation, I'm going to talk about another piece of this same passage from Romans. The line that says, practice playing second fiddle. And first I'm going to tell you what it means. So in an orchestra, where there are not super commonly fiddles, but that's a different story, every instrument has people in different positions. So the person who is the first violin is the leader of the orchestra, and everyone is sort of ranked. When I was in a band, I got to play second clarinet sometimes, and I got to play first clarinet sometimes, and generally the idea was that you wanted to play first, in part because it was harder, in part because it was more fun, in part because you got some power and credentials from being the best. So why would the passage tell someone to practice playing second fiddle? Because the world tells us that we should always be trying to be number one, right? I think that's it. There are times and places where we want to do everything we can to be the best at something, and that is fantastic. But most of the time, in most things, we're not going to be the best because there's a lot of people and they're really good at stuff. And often we're going to be second or third or, well, not first. How do you do that well? It sounds to me like you are working on being okay not being in the spotlight. So you're being kind to someone who is in front of you. You're being supportive. You're responding to somebody else's lead. You're being kind and generous. And those are really good skills that for the most part the world doesn't tell us we need, but we need. We need to be able to support other people, to know how to be not in the spotlight but behind the scenes. Because sometimes we're in the spotlight, but most of the time we're not. And if we can learn to do that well, to support other people, to make other people look good, to play together without being in charge, then we have this whole range of skill sets that we can use to build the kingdom. Sound okay? I hope so. Will you pray with me? God, help us when we're called to be first, and when we're called to be second, and even when we're called to be last. And may we find ways to be kind and gracious and supportive wherever we are, and may we figure out which times we're supposed to do what things. Amen.